समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या? समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.
From the very first nights, the residents of Los Angeles smelled the fear billowing in with the summer mist. Lacking a substantial troop presence in the south of California, the state's new Anglo-American rulers were concerned that Mexicans were plotting to rebel and reunite with their homeland. Late at night, drunken young Hispanic men would gallop through the streets proclaiming rebellion. Elderly Hispanics would tell stories of how they conspired to overthrow unpopular governors. The new Anglo-American rulers were nervous. Last weekend, the world watched one of the world's great economic and cultural powerhouses, Los Angeles, burning in response to the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency's raids targeting illegal immigrant workers. Trump's incendiary language against immigrants has won him support in swathes of his white American base. But the rioting has made clear it's also pushing many other communities to the edge. For all societies and nations, some conversations are excruciatingly painful. Who can truly claim to belong to a society and who is consigned to its margins? Whose values, beliefs ought to prevail? Each city, each community, and each nation has deeply internalized scripts which it turns to in moments of crisis. Flying the flags of their homelands, Mexico, Uruguay, Paraguay, and America, the protesters are laying claim to the right to make decisions about their future. To really understand what's going on in Los Angeles requires engagement with the fact that riots aren't a new phenomenon, either in the city or other American metropoli. Each riot poses discomforting questions about the basis of the social order. Every riot establishes new rules, new accommodations, and new resentments. Each riot is a painful engagement in testing who can claim to be a citizen, a full participant in a city with a voice in shaping its destiny. The names of the streets tell us an important story about Los Angeles. To the north of the concrete detention center where hundreds of illegal immigrants are being held, there is the El Pueblo Monument, where 44 families from the Gulf of Mexico first settled in 1781 on the orders of their king, Charles III of Spain, thus founding Los Angeles. A little to the south of the prison, there's Little Tokyo, and a short walk away, Skid Row, home to the desperately poor of all races. The buildings bear the names of radical Hispanic civil rights leaders and the great Anglo-American families who built Los Angeles' fortune. A little under 2 million of the city's population are Hispanic, according to census figures, some with ties of kinship and culture to communities across the border. There are 1.12 million whites. Additionally, there are just about 500,000 Asians and 330,000 who are Black or African American. Los Angeles is thus one of America's many racial melting pots or crucibles. Following the coerced sale of California to the United States in 1847, Sonora town began to develop as a Hispanic ghetto, made up of miners kicked off the gold mines by Anglo-American prospectors. Lawless bandits from across the region also started to congregate in the El Calle de los Negros neighborhood, drawn by the wealth. This is a description. Filled with saloons and brothels, this street catered to the less reputable members of all races, historian Lawrence Guillo records. To most residents, it was evident in the mid-19th century that some kind of violent showdown was becoming inevitable. Then, on the 19th of July 1856, police marshals attempted to confiscate a guitar and some other personal property from Antonio Ruiz and Senora Maria Candelaria Poliorena to recover an unpaid loan. A fight followed and Ruiz ended up being shot in the chest by the police. A trial followed in which an all-white jury acquitted the police killers. For several days, gangs of Hispanic vigilantes clashed with the local police, though to little effect. The rioting soon died out, with influential Hispanic leaders seeing that the chaos was undermining their status in Los Angeles. Even as the crisis of 1856 began to subside, though, a new one was starting to emerge. Thousands of ethnic Chinese migrant workers began to make their way into the city, congregating 7 to a room in the Calle de los Negros. The New York Times reported, I quote, "Murderers, horse thieves, highwaymen, burglars, etc. from all parts of Southern California and Arizona make this their rendezvous. It is their brothels monopolizing about 2/3 of an entire block." Late in 1871, members of 2 ethnic Chinese crime gangs, the Hao Chow and the Nin Yung, began to exchange gunfire in the Calle de los Negros. Furious retaliation followed from Hispanic and white residents. 500 Chinese people, historian Scott Zesch records, were dragged through the streets and shot, hanged and beaten, just as the crowd fancied. 18 people were killed. Zesch writes, "A delighted hangman dancing a quick step on a balcony called out, 'Bring me more Chinamen, boys, patronize the home trade.'" Through this period, American legal institutions struggled to establish themselves. Vigilantism could hold up some degree of order, but not law. The Americans of the Angel City were in the habit of amusing themselves by hanging some luckless Mexican, and the Mexicans wished to show that they could play the same game, so seized on poor Dave as a fit subject for demonstration. The summer of 1943 made things worse because it brought large numbers of soldiers recruited from across the United States' conservative rural heartland into contact with Los Angeles' very complex, multi-ethnic, multiracial culture. That June, hundreds of soldiers went on the rampage in East Los Angeles and downtown, beating up any young minority men they could find in fashionable zoot suits. You'll have to look those up, which had become a part of the local counterculture. I quote, "Streetcars were halted while Mexicans and some Filipinos and Negros were jerked out of their seats, pushed into the streets and beaten with a sadistic frenzy," one witness recorded. The police backed the attackers, historian Richard Griswold de Castillo writes. Even more violence lay ahead. The growth of a new underclass, this time black Americans, saw the community again squeezed into overcrowded, substandard and overpriced dwellings in South Central Los Angeles. The real estate market was rigged, scholar Robert Fogelson writes, to exclude blacks from the wider property market for fear of lowering prices in exclusive white neighborhoods. For blacks, this meant their ghettos were places of confinement and permanent subordination. The tinder soon caught fire. In August 1965, a white California highway patrolman arrested a young black man for drunk driving in the Watts neighborhood. His mother attempted to intervene, leading to a scuffle. Large crowds gathered and began stoning police vehicles. 15 people were killed in the Watts riots, over 1,000 injured, and 4,000 were sent to jail. A study by political scientist Anthony Oberschall of the arrested protesters showed their median education achievements were above the norm. This wasn't a question of uneducated youth just being random for no reason. What Oberschall argues was, I quote, "a large-scale collective action with a broad representative base in the lower-class Negro communities." Their frustrations included constant encounters with police brutality, as well as the lack of economic and educational opportunities built into their ghettos. The worst riot came in 1992 when the acquittal of 4 white police officers for the murder of motorist Rodney King set off 6 continuous days of intense violence. The context, Judson Jeffries and Gerald Beckham explain, was again framed by large-scale police violence against blacks. From 1962 to 1992, the Los Angeles Police Department shot dead 65 African Americans, but only one case led to the prosecution of an officer. There were large numbers of demonstrations against police brutality that were simply ignored by the authorities, leading the temper to build up. Like now, the riots in South Central Los Angeles drew in not just blacks but also groups of Hispanics and smattering of poor whites. Though there was large-scale looting of Asian-owned businesses, interestingly, there was no Korean on black or black on Korean direct communal violence. For the most part, the police withdrew its resources to protect more affluent parts of the city, leaving the Asian businesses to fend for themselves, historian King Kok Chun writes. Learning diversity is difficult for all societies, all the more where communities are divided by economic status, cultural or religious beliefs, as well as geographical ghettoization. Trump has reviled immigrants, infamously and falsely claiming they were eating pet animals or suggesting Mexican illegal immigrants were rapists, in language which has been inflammatory. Each of the communities he has reviled in the United States, though, makes up a significant percentage of the population. Like all American communities, they include criminals, but they are also proud workers seeking to build an honorable future without losing a heritage that they are proud of. That's why immigrant protesters have been flying the flags of their homelands, asserting that this identity is as much of a part of America's culture as the Italian flags flown routinely from restaurants or the Irish flags taken out in procession in Boston. Although Trump's incendiary political impulses have sparked off a crisis, it would be mistaken to assume that these tensions will fracture America. In fact, the country has seen remarkable deep change. The most recent data available shows that 1 in 6 American newlyweds is of a different race to their partner, a remarkable change in a country where miscegenation was only ruled legal in 1967. Los Angeles' own story demonstrates that it is a city capable of accommodating enormous cultural diversity. Likely, cultural assimilation is America's future, not the white chauvinist hatred Trump is attempting to sow. Hispanics played a significant role in Trump's rise, but their support is already waning according to opinion polls. A long and painful period lies ahead, though, until a racially transformed nation learns to live with a new, changed culture. I'm Praveen Swami and I'm a contributing editor to ThePrint. Thank you for watching this episode of Security Code.